What up? What's going on, people? Welcome to Truth Be Told.
Welcome.
I am one of your co-hosts, RealEyez of OTS Entertainment.
Wow. And I'm Sundjata. Say cool in the place.
To be. Ever. Right. So, we want to welcome y'all back. Thank you for tuning in. Let's see. Let's make sure everything is good because it just said that the show. All right, cool. We here.
We're online.
Just making sure we still online because my joint said that we went off. But we good. We here. Welcome to the show. And for your viewing pleasure, we'll be right back. Truth be told. Listen. What's up? Welcome to Truth Be Told, where every man is king and the truth unfolds, and every word spoken comes from the soul, and the audience members love to take control. No topic is taboo, we talk about it all, and the host so funny you gonna shout and fall out your seat. Your life's not complete without a moment of truth. Once every 2 weeks, and we speak like none other. Educated real brothers, family style for you, your kids and your mother, and we love to gain your trust. Just sit right down, relax and enjoy. This is where the truth is found. Truth be told. Yeah.
Yup.
We're back. We just wanted y'all to see the intro. We should have played that first, but it's all right. It's all good. It's all good. So as we were saying, we want to thank y'all for watching and joining us again. Just so y'all remember, we are weekly now, so every Tuesday night we do this. We're here.
Truth Be Told Tuesday.
Truth Be Told Tuesday. We'll be bringing you, discussions and conversations on all the things that are going on in the world. You know what I mean? And you get to hear from the viewpoint of these two educated brothers right here. All right. So, moving ahead, one of the things we're going to talk about this evening is hazing. Hazing. So for all of you who have attended the college or joined any sort of sorority or fraternity, whether or not you went to a college,
right?
You are probably familiar with the term,
right?
And probably familiar with what is entailed, depending on, I guess, what you're pledging or where you are particularly, because different organizations do it differently.
Right.
Or actually, let me rephrase. Most organizations say that they don't haze at all.
But they do.
I mean, well, we know that. But they'll never say openly that they haze because it's wrong. It's not supposed to happen. I want to say it might be illegal.
Might be. I think there is a law in certain states.
Certain states, right. Yeah. So, for those of you who don't know what hazing is, this is not Webster's definition. This is Isaac's definition. But it's basically when pledging these organizations, some organizations, because that's another thing I want to make clear, not every organization does haze. Maybe some, but the thought process is that most of them do.
Right.
But when these organizations are pledging, their pledgees, they do things to humiliate them or embarrass them amongst their other pledges or pledgees.
Right.
I'm assuming it would be called. And I'm assuming the point is to kind of have them form a bond or have a tight-knit source of unity. So I guess in that respect, it can be understood. The issue is that sometimes it can go too far, and there can be some negative repercussions
or death
to said pledging. So to give you guys an idea of what we're talking about, we're going to jump to a video real quick. All right, some of you might remember this if you're a little a little older,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like this is a old movie, but it's a great movie, and I know a lot of y'all are familiar with it. So we're going to jump to this clip, and we'll see. All right, so we're back. Unfortunately, there's something wrong with the clip, so it's not playing, and we're just going to have to go on without that particular clip.
That's right.
But we can explain the clip.
That's right.
The clip was from a movie called School Days.
Way back in the day's movie.
Way back in the day. The movie is a Spike Lee joint. You're all familiar with Spike Lee. And it surrounds basically I believe it was an all-black college. And it talked about a lot of things involved in being at an all-black college, but there were parts that had to do with pledging a fraternity.
Right.
And the particular scene that we were showing was a scene where the pledgees were in a bathroom, blindfolded, and I guess I'm not familiar with the terminology, so I don't know if it's the pledge master or Big Brother, whoever's in charge.
Big Brother Almighty
was having the pledges grab into the toilet and squish what they thought was feces because they were all blindfolded. But in actuality, in reality, it was bananas. But they didn't know that, so they had them doing it, and they're like, squish it, feel it, love it, and all that. And you see the faces of the pledges are like, oh no. So that's something like, obviously, it wasn't really feces, but they didn't know that, so it was having a psychological effect on them.
Right.
And that was the scene that we were going to show. There's also another scene that we wanted to show that showed all of the pledges lined up and bent over. Were just in their underwear. I mean, they had on clothes, but they had their pants pulled down, their underwear exposed, and the higher ups were spanking them with a huge wooden paddle.
Right.
And they would hit them, and they'd say funny phrases when they got hit, or so on and so forth. For those of you who have watched School Days, you know what I'm talking about. So. Big shout out to Blackout, who's in a fraternity. So
he's always rocking with us. Where you spank Blackout?
He's like, Lord, here we go.
He was. Come on, Blackout. Another man spank your butt.
Thank you. I guess they're called deans, or the higher ups.
Blackout said that?
Yeah, he said dean. So and he said his org doesn't haze.
Yeah, right.
We believe you, brother. So those are the two scenes we're going to show. Now, of course, this movie, it was meant to poke fun at the lifestyle and be amusing to the watcher and, provide entertainment. The issue is that, hazing is a real issue. And as Brother Sundjata said earlier, there are people who have passed away from it.
Word.
I bring that up because I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. I actually just learned myself that recently 2 Virginia State University students disappeared. They were they were trying to join an organization called Men of Honor at the university, which is not recognized by the university and apparently isn't an actual organization at all. But in trying to join this university, they were being hazed. They were taken to the
You weren't part of the university? It wasn't a part of...
The organization was not a part of the university.
This is like old school.
Yeah, it was
you ever seen the movie Old School?
Yeah, that's my word blue. But it wasn't a part of the university. They were taken to an initiation ritual at the Appomattox River on Saturday, and basically they were forced to get into the river. It was those 2 gentlemen and another 4 gentlemen.
It's kind of cold on Saturday.
Yeah, and basically what happened, they got all of them, like I think it was 5 or 6 of them, got swept away by the current, but not everybody, passed away or basically got taken by the current. They already found the bodies of one of them. His name was Marvell Edmondson. He was 19 years old, and he was pulled from the river on Monday. And they're looking for Jawan Holmes from, I believe, Williamsburg, Virginia. That's the other body they can't find. The other 4 gentlemen that were in the river, they all made it out. So that's what caused me to want to bring up hazing. Like, in this situation, which is crazy because it's not even a real organization.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like, somehow they were able to get these young kids to believe that they're real, you know what I mean, that they're actually an official organization, and then they went ahead and tried to pledge to these people. So, now you have 2 people that are dead. And the crazy thing is that as I'm looking at this this article that I printed out, it says that okay, I'll just read it real quick. James A. Mackey, Sr., Everett K. Benson, 19, and Corey Baytop, 26, were arrested Monday and charged with 5 counts of hazing.
As they should be.
These are misdemeanor charges. The 4th suspect,
Misdemeanor?
The 4th suspect, Charles E. Zalek-Coffer, remains on the loose.
You're on the run. Come on, Copper. Turn yourself in.
Baytop and Benson are freshman students at Virginia State University. So these people were arrested. 2 people are dead, and they only got charged with hazing. 5 counts of misdemeanor hazing. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm confused as to why it's not murder. Like, you didn't physically kill the person yourself,
right?
But you made them get into a river, and for sure one of them did not survive because they got his body already. And Lord knows what's happening with the other lawyers.
The lawyer for those guys can say that they didn't have any force over them in order to do that. They didn't have a gun. They didn't have a bat. They just say get in the river, and then the people who got in the river could have refused.
Right. I see what you're saying. So it's like when it boils down to it, they basically
chose to go in the river.
Go in the river themselves, right. Which I think is absolutely horrible. Personally, I mean. But you're right. It's a great argument. I can't even dispute it. Like, if I tell you to get in the river and, the river looks crazy, you should say no. You know what I mean? And if you get in, you decided to get in the river. Like, how can I be held responsible? I didn't hold a gun to your head. I just said, go ahead.
Right.
I think that's horrible, but I understand now how they can probably get off on this.
Blackout, I need to hear from you. 1, were you spanked? 2,
wow.
What was your hazing experience like? And 3, why would someone choose to be hazed?
Well, Blackout said that his organization doesn't haze, which means he's going to say that he wasn't hazed, whether or not he was, and he's not going to be able to speak on it.
But overall, like, why do people choose to humiliate themselves like this in order to be a part of the organization?
I don't know. I feel like you can be humiliated for free without, the cost of possibly dying a lot of different ways.
Right.
If that's what you're into.
Because when I was in college, I would see the fraternities and I would even see the sororities and say the membership have contacts or they've been around a long time and you can get a job and they talk about these things. But I'm wondering, I've seen people who are part of fraternity and they love their fraternity, right? And I've seen people part of sororities and they love their sororities once they're in there. But I don't think you being humiliated in front of people is worth you being a part of an organization like that. Now, if it was the Skull and Bones now, maybe that was worth it.
Because what? What's the difference?
Presidents.
You talking about
lawmakers?
You talking about the Illuminati and all that?
You being Illuminati?
Well, I guess that has its benefits, I'm sure.
Of course it does. Like, if you're part of, I can understand if it was a real prestige organization that don't just recruit anyone and they want you to be a part of it. For instance, like if you just have a fraternity and someone a whole bunch of people just come and say they want to be a part of it and then you haze them, it's another one. But if it's a fraternity that they're selective on membership, I can see why people want to be in that. Like, I would see why people want to be in the Skull and Bones. You have former presidents, you have lawmakers.
I get what you're saying. I just feel like really there's nothing in the world that would make me...
You wouldn't want to be in the Skull and Bones?
No, I'm good.
Why not?
There's a lot involved in that. I mean, listen, I'm sure there are ways to get into it if you want to really be in it or something. I don't know. But like...
Hold on for a second. Skull and Bones is the fraternity in Yale. I believe at Yale University. But go ahead.
I feel like...
No, Harvard?
I believe it's one of those prestigious. I think it's Harvard. I feel like it's Harvard.
I think it's Harvard too. Anyway, go ahead.
Chat room warriors. Somebody Google that and find out for us. Where's Skull and Bones at?
Okay, go ahead.
So personally, when I was attending Rutgers University, I considered pledging. I was gung ho because I felt like, that's really cool, you know what I'm saying, to have a, honestly, for me, to be completely real, there was I didn't have an issue with that. But there's girls, there's the popularity, the parties, like you get to wear your jacket, your colors, people know that, okay.
Are popular?
You know what I'm saying?
People in the fraternity are popular on campus?
Yeah, extremely popular, right? Okay. So that was cool. Then I went to an interest meeting, and they told me what was involved. They said, okay, well, this is what happens. It costs this much money. Whoa, red flag.
You have to pay money?
Red flag, yes. You had to pay money. You had to pay money.
You remember how much it was?
I wanted to say at the time it was like 7 and some change, which may not be anything to some people, but when you figure I'm a college student, a freshman college student at that, $700, you could have said $1 million to me. It's the same thing. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that was a turnoff. As I talked to other people, who were like in the higher grade, sophomores, juniors, seniors, and they're like, oh no, you don't know that they do this, this, and this? And I'm like, they do what? Oh yeah, they can punch you and kick you, and you can't do nothing. They can't punch you in your face, but they can hit you anywhere, and you can't fight back. And I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm from Newark. There's no way in the world you putting your hands on me. I ain't putting my hands on you. That's not gonna happen. So with all of these factors, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm good. Like, I don't need popularity that much. You see what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't worth it. But that was a personal decision that I made.
Right.
And again, I'm not saying that I felt every organization did that.
Right.
But I got too much feedback saying that these are the things that happen when you pledge. And I'm like, what? I can't talk. What do you mean I can't talk? I gotta talk to people. No, you can't talk. You can talk in class. That's it. What? Like all types of crazy things I heard. And to me, that was enough. I was like, you know what? I'll find my other way to be popular. You know what I'm saying? Which I was able to do it. Big shout out to 1908. She said it's Yale University for the Skull and Bones.
There you go. Yale University. John Kerry, the current Secretary of State, is a Skull and Bones member. George Bush is a Skull and Bones member. George Bush the father is a Skull and Bones member.
And that means a lot when you think about it, because both of them was dumb as peanuts. And they made it to the president of the United States.
See?
The connections involved in that thing is bananas.
See?
And I don't even want to talk about it no more because I don't want nobody coming to my house and erasing me, and I never existed.
Secret society trying to keep their eye on me. Yeah. There you go, Prodigy. Prodigy told y'all.
Yo, like, it's bananas, yo. It's bananas. But, like, personally, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. 1908 made a good point. She said, I guess people naturally want to be a part of something.
Right.
And it makes sense. Especially
in the new environment.
Brand new in college.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you know, regardless of what I go through, if I can get through it, I'm big man on campus like that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, another thing for me that, you know, kind of kept me in that mode of not wanting to pledge is that I knew a lot of people. Like I said, you know, I was kind of popular, you know what I'm saying? But I knew a lot of people, and I know some people that before they pledged, they were a certain way. And once they pledged, they became somebody else completely. Like,
how so?
Like, they acted like they were the flyest thing in the planet. Like, they were different. They weren't the same people. Like, as opposed to adding towards what that organization could give, they took on, like, the mantle of the organization. Like, oh, now that I'm a this, I'm the truth. You can't say nothing to me. I'm better than you. I'm better than you. I'm better than you. And it's like, bro.
What organization is this? Alpha?
I can't say nothing. I'm not going to shout out a specific organization.
Why?
Because I don't really have no beef with
bro. This should be told.
No, you're right. You're right. But this is what I'm saying.
Right.
It wouldn't be the organization I'd be trying to discredit. It's the people. This is what I'm saying. Like, the people were themselves are the ones that changed.
Okay, which organization were you going to pledge to?
Oh, I was going to pledge to Sigmas.
Sigma.
Now, funny, now hear me out, though. The reason I was going to pledge to Sigma is because after some time, all of the people I knew that were Sigmas that pledged were the same people afterwards. Their heads didn't get bigger. They stayed with they were who they were.
So which one got more arrogant? Alpha?
Nah, the people that got more arrogant that I knew, like one of them pledged to the Qs.
Q's, okay.
All right.
Okay. That's the one that do it like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, you can't do that, son.
No?
That's what they say. I don't know. That's
what you got to be a pledge to do that.
They said you can't throw up their signs or whatever. I don't know, like, if that means you're going to get beat up. Or, I mean, I'm sure we're fine at this point in time. But I don't really know. But I mean, like, one was a Q. Some of them pledged Alpha. You know what I'm saying? But, like, I don't look at that as a reflection of the fraternity.
You don't?
No, I look at that as a reflection of those people. It's like, to me, it's equal to those people that get picked on their whole lives and then go become a police officer. So now they can pick on whoever they want. Not all police are inherently bad.
No?
Believe it or not. No, I don't think so. I still don't like the cops, but I don't believe all police are bad.
Okay.
But I believe that some of them have had issues during their life that cause them to, now that they're in this position of power, it's like, oh, I can get back at everybody, even though you're not getting back at the people that made your life miserable. You're getting back at the regular Joe who just might have been driving 35 miles over the hour. Big deal, over the speed limit. So what?
But it could be a culture of it, like in an organization, like in a fraternity. Maybe a culture of, you know, you did this and others didn't, now you're better than them. It could be a culture. It could be something systemic that's saying that people who are a part of that organization, they are better than the rest of the freshmen. Or they are better than the rest of the juniors and the seniors and the sophomores.
Which is true. It's possible. I mean, and I can answer that by quoting Blackout, who says, And blackout, man, we're not getting on all organizations. We're talking about specific instances. I don't want you to get upset. But he says people on the outside always think they know what's going on during processes.
Right.
But unless you're a member, you don't really know. And as said before,
you catch your feelings, blackout.
I can't. Well, the rest of his thing didn't show up. So,
okay.
But you're right. If you don't go through it, you really don't know what's up. But all you can do is go off of what people have said and people have told. You can't say that people haven't gone through this process and haven't told people, even though you're never supposed to say anything. Right. Of course people talk. It's human nature to want to express that to somebody. So somebody told somebody, and maybe down the line it blew out of proportion, but there's some truth to everything. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm not saying all organizations, all frats, all sororities haze, but you even have to understand that there's some that do.
I would say all of them do, because there has to be a process.
You know what? I actually agree with you.
Some may be like more.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Right. So yeah, I agree with you. I feel like all of them do to an extent, but not all of them do it to a point where somebody might end up dying.
Stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Right. But I think all of them do. All of them went through a process blackout, because just like in any organization, when you first start a job, they're gonna give you 3 months to see if you're gonna work. Right?
True.
If you go a part of the military, you got to go to boot camp. Every organization in the society have some form of vetting process. So I would say that the hazing or the initial process is the vetting process. Some people become a part of it, some people make it, and some people don't. I would think all of these organizations have this vetting process, and all of these organizations have hazing. And if it's not something where they have, they're spanking people, to ask a freshman to come for $700, that's hazing.
Automatically off the bat.
Off the bat, just reading it saying you got to go for $700
as a freshman. Are you serious?
Hazing.
That's bananas.
That's right. So you got to haze, because you now got to go back to your family or your mother or whoever and say, can I have $700? What you need $700 for, son? Oh, I need it to buy extra books, because maybe many of you are going to lie, right? Because you don't want to go to your parents saying that you got to pledge to an organization.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So you go to them and you say that, and that's embarrassing in a sense. So that's a hazing process. And you have to go in front of the people and you have to learn the rules. You have to learn the processes, and you have to learn everything before you become a member.
Right.
So that's hazing.
Right. I get you. I rock with you on that. Looney Tunes says, from what he's seen, each pledge class is different.
Right.
So, I mean, I agree with that, because I know a lot of it, I mean, like, it's not so much a revolving door, but the people that pledge you may not pledge the next class. Because now that you're up, you may end up pledging the next class. So depending on what you went through, you may try to do it similar to the, what you went through when you were on the line.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it all, I mean,
and maybe
it all depends.
Maybe it will come worse, because now you have a power over another human being. And you're giving a 21-year-old, a 22-year-old power over a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old. So, or an 18-year-old. So that can be a dynamic that's just totally out of control. That's like the asshole cop right there.
Right.
You can become that person that you never thought you would become, because you have power over that person. Yeah. Because you can tell that person, go across the street, and that person has to go across the street.
Yeah, power corrupts. Will 123, shout out to her. I don't know, or him. You know what that is?
No, I never know.
Shout out to you anyway. Thank you for watching. Says, the freshman couldn't have a job. Most organizations will not let a freshman pledge. Okay, so I guess we've been speaking incorrectly about that. I wasn't aware of that. So I guess you have to be, what you have to be a sophomore or higher.
Because your organization said different than when you were going to pledge.
Yeah, this is true. But then again, it was also an interest meeting. So it could be like, if you just want to know about it, you want to know about this, come. It doesn't mean like you're going to come and you're going to be a part of this whatever line you decide. Okay. So I get that. All right, I mean, that's true. That's true. So we're way past our moment of truth time on this. All right. So let's get to it. Moment of truth. Truth be told, I feel like hazing to a certain extent is okay. You know what I mean? Because like the brother Sundjata said, it's a vetting process, and you want to kind of like get rid of the excess that's not really going to make your organization better. At the same time, when it gets to a point where you have people dying, you know what I mean? Like, and things aren't thought through, it's obviously at that point too much, because there is nothing worth your life especially in regards to joining any sort of organization. That's it, truth be told.
My truth be told is if you can be a part of the Skull and Bones, go for it. If you can be a part of the Illuminati, go for it. If you can be a part of any of these secret societies, go for it. Because even you can become president with a C average. That is my truth be told. Thank you.
Not if you weren't born in America, though. So if you weren't born in America, give it up. Sorry. Mm-hmm. All right. So moving on to the main topic for the night. Mm-hmm. We got about 15 minutes.
Whoa. Time goes by fast.
Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware. This past Monday, I believe April 15th, 2 explosions went off at the Boston Marathon. Mm. A lot of stuff has happened since that point. Mm-hmm. I'm sure everybody that's watching is well aware of it. But we are gonna jump to a video that we have. It's footage from the bombing. There's nothing graphic on this video. It's just video actually showing, I guess, like how people react. It happened, and a lot of people, like some people ran. A lot of people actually just was like they go towards where the issue is to try to help, and you see that in the video.
That's a running joke. What color were the people that ran towards it?
They ran towards it. They were all white. I don't know, man. Like, hey.
You know us. We running away from stuff like that. Huh?
There were black cops there, and they were going towards it as well. But
regular people.
I don't know.
Okay. Even the Africans were running the marathons. They keep on running. They didn't stop.
Before we get into that, Lywell says you're both speaking without knowing enough information.
Lywell getting mad.
You should probably have someone on to contribute without giving secrets out.
You want to come on, Lywell?
Well, before even we get to that, Lywell, we never said that we were experts on it. We're giving our opinions. That's the point of the show. So we're giving our opinions on how we feel on what we've heard. We never said this is a concrete truth. So we just want to let you know that. And that's how it is on every Truth Be Told show about whatever we speak about.
Lywell, hit us up on the page. We'll get you on. Come on.
All right. So moving along, we're going to hop into this video from the Boston Globe newspaper of the explosions.
Over here. Hey! There's gotta be people hurt up! We need help! Oh my God. Come on. We've had an attack. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
So there was some of the footage from the explosions at the Boston Marathon. Mm-hmm. A lot of things have been going on. I'm sure everybody's aware at this point that one of the supposed, and I say supposed because we don't really know. We just get what the news tells us.
Word.
You know what I'm saying? One of the supposed bombers is dead, and his younger brother is in custody. So, I mean, it's a horrible, horrible event when anything like this happens and people die. It's disgusting. I personally feel that type of stuff is cowardly, but that's my own opinion on the situation. According to the news, which is doctored by the government, both of these brothers were Islamic jihadists. Is the phrase they're using.
So they say.
So they say, and apparently, though, they're not connected to any terrorist organizations. They became jihadists by basically going on the internet, and that's how they kind of got, this is what it says in the article, they went on the internet and they kind of like were changed in that manner. Like, that's where they got their radical ideas, and they were watching.
From the internet?
From the internet, and they were watching like shows that Al-Qaeda puts on.
But they said they've been overseas, though. Been to Chechnya, which is
that's where they're from. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
They've been in that region that is Muslim, and it's also in Russia, so they say. But I think, though, in this big old scheme of things, I think if most of you are honest with yourself, when you first heard bombing and Boston Marathon, what people came to mind? What people came to mind?
I mean, to be honest?
Yes, be honest.
I mean, because...
Just be honest.
I'm going to be honest. I mean, the first thing I thought...
Right.
Was that it was a terrorist group of some sort.
Okay, he meant to say he thought they were Arabs, okay?
That's actually not true.
What? You didn't think they were Arabs?
No, promise. Like, before God, I'm a Christian, like, for real, I did not think they were honest. I mean, I did not think that they were Arabs.
You thought they were Muslims?
I just thought they were a terrorist group. I didn't know who it was. Yeah. Because I'm aware of the fact that there are more terrorist groups than people that might be of that, of that nationality. There are white terrorists. There are black terrorists. They don't have to be Muslims. They don't have to be Arabs.
But when you first heard this, did you think they were white terrorists?
Hear me out. The reason I didn't think of a nationality is because I'm familiar with what that feels like. There was a point in time, I think it was maybe 3 years back, where a Nigerian apparently tried to...
he couldn't get the job done.
He couldn't get it done. Yeah. Thank you for saying that.
Nigerians couldn't get the job done.
And now if I say Nigerians get it done, it sounds horrible. So I can't even say
Nigerians didn't get it done, though. It's the underwear bomber, right?
Yes.
Right? And in his underwear. So couldn't get the job done.
So the point is, when that happened, of course, all these red flags went up about Nigerians. So I'm already feeling away. Like, when I fly, it's like, okay, they're going to see my last name, and they're going to think this, that, and the third, et cetera, et cetera. We already get a bad rap.
So you rationalize all of this from when you first heard it? You rationalize this, and your first reaction was to rationalize it instead of giving, like...
You know what? And I'm going to be completely honest. My first reaction was, I hope it's not a black person.
We don't blow things out.
Listen.
We bad in chemistry.
Well, listen, apparently we shoot people from trucks. DC Sniper...
True indeed.
And this is what I'm saying. It could be anybody. Yo, when I first heard it, it wasn't, oh, those Arabs. When I first heard it, it was like, yo, I hope it's not a black person. And if it is a black person, I hope it's not an African person. And if it is an African person, I hope it's not Nigerian. I'm serious.
That's what you thought?
Yes, because that, like, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to be that person. Black people in America already have enough issues. Right. You know what I'm saying? In regards to being looked at as criminals just from the gate. Right. Not so much terrorists, but criminals regardless. You know what I'm saying? We don't need no added, extra issues. You know what I mean? And that's what I thought.
I would think a lot of the people thought that these people were, one, Arabs and or Muslims. That's what they would think. That's what I think most people thought when they heard this. And what has happened is that the news media has demonized people from North Africa and people from the Middle East and people who are Arab. So now when I hear these things, I kind of look at it like two ways. Because one, for years, the people who are Arab, from Arab descent in this country wouldn't even pick us up in a cab. Black people, right? They wouldn't even pick us up. They'll see us in New York and they will pass us. Right? That's one. Another thing, they have stores that they didn't want us to shop in. Right? So now the Arabs is feeling the brunt of racism in this country. Because now they're more scrutinized more than any group in this country right now. They're more scrutinized. So when I hear this, I tried not to formulate any opinion about this because, one, I don't believe news reports. Right?
As nobody should.
Right? I kind of be skeptical because I remember, I think one of these stations had that the people were Saudi. Like somebody tackled a Saudi and a Saudi did it. I think CNN had something like that.
Also, there was the initial reports when the bombing happened was that be on the lookout for a suspect in a black hoodie who is dark skinned, who may be of African American descent. Or Saudi descent is what they said.
You see
from the gate, and then eventually they go ahead to say that these two people are Caucasians, which I've also noticed in the news, and maybe it's just me, that they have tried to separate them from being white, or they're Chechenian, which means for some real reason that they're not white. I don't know. To me, like
what they tried to separate to me was the term terrorist from them, because first. When they were initially given the report, they were saying they think it's being done by terrorists. Then they will start calling them suspects. Suspect this, suspect that. The suspects had a shootout with a cop. So one suspect is on the loose. And that's why I don't trust the news media, especially the mainstream news media like the CNN and definitely not the Fox News and those channels when it comes to credible reports.
Fox News should be taken off the air.
But ultimately, I think these guys are fall guys. I don't think, in my opinion, these guys the ones that did it.
You know what?
I don't have no credible. What's the person name? Lowell?
Lywell.
I don't know. This is just my opinion. All right. I'm not an expert on terrorists and terrorist bombings. All right. But I just think that these guys are the fall guys because one report I read that the FBI has been watching them
for 5 years. That's what I Am Will actually said. In the chat room. So
are we online?
We're on.
Okay. Yeah. Like the FBI been watching them. So how could the FBI been watching them, knowing that they're planning this? Because if they're watching them, that means they tap their phones. They probably bug their house and their cars. So they're watching them. So they've been watching them for 5 years, and then you know this plan is gonna happen, and then the FBI don't step in. They just let it happen. So I think these guys are the fall guys for this situation because there's nothing that can take away people's freedom more than fear.
I agree. I actually watched a video. I almost grabbed it off of YouTube to play it, but it's like 8 minutes long, so I tried not to. That basically it's a gentleman, Infowars.com is their website, but the YouTube they posted was of a gentleman basically explaining how all of this was set up by the government. And it's crazy, and I don't know, for those who know me, I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist myself, but everything he said connected, and it's like it made sense. Actually, what he was showing, I saw on Facebook the other day. It was a pictograph that kind of like, was a long thing that showed, these people had this type of book bag on, and it's the same type of book bag that exploded. They're not the ones that were said to be the terrorists. They're wearing paramilitary clothing, so on and so forth. All this stuff, which may or may not be true, because again, with the government, you really never know. But point is that they said all of these things, and it's like this 19-year-old and his 26-year-old brother were able to basically, with all of those police and everything around, do this by themselves. Like, even if they were a part of it, which I feel like they might have been, I feel like there's a bigger network involved.
What happened to the guy on the roof? Weren't they saying there was a guy on the roof? Remember that?
Yeah.
They were saying there was a guy on the roof. The news reports kept on saying, what about the guy on the roof? They had a close-up on the guy on the roof. Then they circled the guy on the roof. Whatever happened with that? So my point is, to Majin or whatever you and your brother name, your brother are the fall guy in a larger conspiracy, in my opinion. All right? You two are the fall guys in this larger chain of things that need to be done, and they need you to get it done. So you're not I'm pretty sure you two are not the point person. You're not the brains behind the operation. A 19-year-old and a 26-year-old. I'm pretty sure you're not. I'm pretty sure that someone put you up to it, and if you were part of it, that someone pushed your button and you got turned in order for the government to bring someone forward and say they did an accurate investigation and they have the people involved. But I don't think you two are the people involved.
Let me jump into the chat room where almost everybody except for one person seems to feel like this might have been staged in some manner.
Right.
Looney Tunes says the FBI has let a lot of things happen.
Yes.
Will 908 says it's another way to instill fear in the society to slowly take our rights.
There you go. Blackout
says, yeah, because if you trace the money, it's probably going to have government ties to it.
As it always does.
Then Eli said, you killing me. What are y'all talking about? Well,
Eli's going in tonight.
Will says, check out an org called The Craft that has it written all over it. So, I mean, apparently people are aware, you know what I mean, of, you know, like the fact that this may be, but again, you know, you really need to follow up on your stories. It was a silhouette of a lighting fixture. What are you talking about, Lywell?
A silhouette of a lighting fixture. I don't know about that, Lywell, but I don't put anything past any governments. You hear me, Lywell? Let me talk to you specifically. I don't put anything past it. Any government can do things in order to, one, Will 98 say, put fear in the people, or two, carry out an agenda. For instance, let's go back to 9/11. 9/11 happened, and all of a sudden, you went from Afghanistan to Iraq. How did that happen? How do you go from Afghanistan to Iraq when Iraq didn't have anything to do with 9/11? And how do you go from weapons of mass destruction to WMD to not even talking about it anymore? So to me, it's a larger plan in order, in my opinion, in order to secure oil for the United States from the Middle East. One, you got Iraq. Two, you're trying to take down Syria. Three, you in Asia would have Afghanistan that has natural resources everywhere, untapped natural resources. And you're trying to build this new world order where United States have total access to the resources of these countries. You know, so you can believe that or not, but just follow the clues. Just follow what's going on in the world. You see wars, people having wars in these countries, and United States is in the midst and the heart of what's going on. So to me, they use these things, whether it's a 9/11, whether it is bombing, it's to just keep fear and fear and fear so they can justify more and more and more wars. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying, Will.
Well, my opinion on it is I have my conspiracy theories, which I don't usually, you know.
Bring them out.
Bring out.
That's what
you know what I mean? But I feel how I feel. You know what I'm saying? And as I said, I'm not saying that's what's happening in this case. But that's what I feel is happening. It could be whatever. Unfortunately.
Oh, man.
We're out of time. So, moment of truth. I feel like you just did it, but go ahead.
My moment of truth is don't join the military, because the people who are going to send you to war, they're not going to send their own children to war. And in my opinion, they're going to be Iraq and Afghanistan is only the beginning of more wars to come. So if you think that the military is your only option, please look for another option, because you can't trust politicians and their belief and their willingness to send you and your children to war, but not sending their own children to war. That's my truth be told. Yes.
Boston bombing.
Oh, Boston bombing. No, okay. It's part. I'm saying that because it's part of a larger thing. The Boston bombing is just the tip of the iceberg, because they're going to use the Boston bombing to justify going into another country or doing some more military action to stop so-called jihadists, terrorists, Muslims, people who are poor, who can't afford rocket launchers, but all of a sudden they have rocket launchers and they have AK-47s to fight wars. So that's what I think. It's just to continue the war overseas.
Got you. Truth be told, in general, any instance like this or something where people lose their lives is a sorry state of affairs. You know, our condolences go out to the families of the people who lost their lives.
Word.
And over 250 people that were injured. I believe it was like 260 something was the count. Man. A lot of people got hurt. And honestly, I'm thankful that it wasn't worse, because it definitely could have been.
Right.
Even though, you know, the government is doing what the government is doing, I still want to congratulate the cops and all the people that rush back to help. You know what I mean? Help these people. Like, that's heroic. That's like true. Most people hear gunfire, they hear bombs or something go, they go in the other direction. And people were going and trying to help. So that's really commendable. Right. And I'm not even gonna get into my conspiracy theories.
Bring it out.
I think what it is. Well, we don't got no time. I think what I think, but you know, it's hard. But hopefully, you know, we can get to a state in this land where negative stuff like this doesn't really have to happen. We want to shout out everybody in the chat room. You guys have been saying a lot of, you know, good stuff. The conversation's been good.
Man, popping off.
Yeah. We're sorry that we have to. We got to go, but it's a 45-minute show. We'll be back next Tuesday. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch us on Facebook.com/It'sAllTruth.
Truth Be Told Tuesday. Instagram.
On Instagram. Check out our Instagram.
Twitter.
The Twitter is at TBT Show. Follow us. You know what I'm saying? We'll follow you back. We can have conversation there, conversation on the Facebook page. And the Gmail is itsalltruth@gmail.com. All right, hit us up. We love y'all. Thank you for watching. And we will see you guys next week. All right?
All right.
Peace.